Imagine for a moment you are a manager, a small business owner. You are in charge of some group of employees, and you try to treat them well. You try to pay them fairly and marketably, and you offer one a nice size bonus and a new pay rate, and you say, I'm going to give you some more responsibility. And what do? They come to you and say, oh, can you pay for my child care? And maybe you fire that person. I don't know. Maybe you're just really unhappy and you let them go, and you come to the next one. You know what? This is a brand new person, just graduated college, has no experience. You're paying them higher than they should be paid, and you say, you know what? I'm going to give you a shot here. And they come and say, yeah, I see your 18% raise, and I want 20%. Can you do that for me? How do you feel as that manager? Do you feel appreciated? Do you feel that your employees value what you're bringing to the table? You know, nothing says, I'm going to interpret a parable like telling another parable, right? Which is what I've just done. But I think it's interesting. Jesus was trying to tell parables to put things in real terms for the people of that day. And, in Matthew chapter 22, we find a very similar story to this. And this is a king who invites people to a banquet. And they refused. And what does he do? This is kind of shocking to us, right? He kills off their cities for refusing. But think about, we think about kings very distantly, but these were kings who you did not dishonor them. It was a big deal. They held your life in their hands, right? And so to dishonor them by declining would be unappreciative, dishonorable. The list goes on. And just like the manager we're supposing to be, when we make these interactions with our employees or hypothetical employees, we are bringing them a situation on our terms, and we're going to be assuming we're generous and well-meaning managers in this story. But these are the terms of employment that we're bringing to you. And if you want this responsibility and this compensation, you will abide by those terms. And I think that's really the story that we find here in Matthew chapter 22. Let's read this parable real quickly. Steve pointed this out a few weeks ago. I was much too old before I realized most parables are about the kingdom of heaven. If you haven't picked up on that, do, because it's kind of a cool way to view them all once you realize that. But Matthew chapter 22, verse 2. The kingdom of heaven may be compared to a king who gave a wedding feast for his son and sent his servants to call those who were invited to the wedding feast, but they would not come. Again, he sent other servants, saying, tell those who are invited, see, I've prepared my dinner. My oxen and my fat calves have been slaughtered, and everything is ready. Come to the wedding feast. But they paid no attention and went off. One to his farm, another to his business, and while the rest seized his servants and treated them shamefully and killed them. The king was angry, and he sent his troops and destroyed those murderers and burned their city. Then he said to his servants, the wedding feast is ready, but those invited were not worthy. Go therefore to the main roads and invite to the wedding feast as many as you can find. And those servants went out into the road and gathered all whom they found, both bad and good. So the wedding hall was filled with guests. But when the king had come in to look at the guests, he saw there a man who had no wedding garment. And he said to him, friend, how did you get here without a wedding garment? He was speechless. And the king said to his attendees, bind him hand and foot and cast him into outer darkness. In that place there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. For many are called, but few are chosen. We see this parable in several versions over time. Sometimes the wedding guests come, but they're unprepared. Sometimes they have new brides or they have new things they have to do, and they make excuses. They want to come to the wedding on their terms. But here we see they don't even come at all. And he throws them out. Here we see they come unprepared. and he throws them out. The point is this: there are really beneficial things to what God has called us to the feast that he has called us to, but we must come on his terms. We must come to him when he calls us, how he calls us, as prepared as he calls us to be. And this is not a burdensome thing. We do read in Matthew 11, my yoke is easy and my burden is light. Compared to anything else, this is a sweet blessing. And I like to think of Isaiah 43, verses 20 and 21, where it says, "For I give water in the wilderness, rivers in the desert, to give drinks to my chosen people, the people whom I formed myself, that they may declare my praise." God's calling is a blessing to us. It's a feast. But just like my weekend parable or the great parables we find about the kingdom of heaven, it's on God's terms. And I think we should take heart to remember that. And if you're not living on God's terms, tonight's the time. Whether you need to get started with your walk with Christ or you need to be renewed, I hope you look in your heart and find that. But if we can help you, please come while we stand and sing.